guy has done this, has gone so far. He said no for many other reasons. But what Iyaz is saying is that even though it's a no, but the yes person could have heard from somebody else. And I have many people when I met have spoken about my brand before I spoke about you, about it, because they speak with other people and they get learned from other people. Now, raising finance, the second phase. Now in Maldives, we have very, very small options, some limited options. SDFC, I knocked the door many times and I managed to get it, obviously, through many other, sources, like going to Heritage and convincing, getting an endorsement and then submitting to SDFC, which makes the process much faster. The other options available, yes, correct me if I'm wrong. Now the banking system, yes, said it's very risky. That is very true. But I also had to go to banking system. We have banking system. Although the interests are high, you have to have enough confidence that the interest will be covered from your regular income, so that you can sustain it. So if you have opened a business, if you have half of the business capital, then these are the ways that you can raise the money through the doors. I think that those are the options available.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Inaz.
On what Inaz has discussed on the equity side, I would say you can bring in people given equity not only for money. You can also give away equity for people with relevant skills. And out of few businesses which I invested as an angel investor, one hard lesson which I learned is actually sales is one of the key skills for any entrepreneurs, for any business. If you're not getting that cash flow in the desired time, or even if you, for example, if you are doing a shop and you have stock, but you are not able to sell it, you are not able to do the stock, stock is not turning over, and the sales, the money is not coming in, it will be very hard for you to even pitch for a higher level of investor in the future, whether it is a bank or whether it is a crowdfunding or accelerator program, or even venture capital. Venture capitals will be more looking at your numbers than anybody else. So it is very important actually, if you don't have or everybody has spoken here, if you don't have the right skills, you might be technically very strong, you might be a very strong programmer, you might be very good at designing, for example, you might be an architect or a graphic designer or somebody, try to actually try to bring in somebody who has some other important qualities for the business, whether it is managing finance or sales or something like that. The initial days, I would say bring in somebody who has these two, HR, legal and other things. You can even ask from other people and later build on it when you have started recruiting more people. You need HR skills more than initially. Initially, you need money to come into the business. So you need a good salesperson as your co-founder or as a shareholder or with you actually.
Can I share a different side of that?
That would be great.
I think this applies mainly to tech businesses, but at the end of the day, like Iyaz said, numbers are very important, and numbers are what any sort of investor, acquirer, or anybody cares about. But those numbers might not always be your sales numbers. So if you look at it one way, if you look at it, for example, WhatsApp, Facebook bought WhatsApp for I think 19 billion US dollars, but they were not making any money whatsoever. They were losing money. But what they had were millions and hundreds of millions of users socializing nonstop. And Facebook, that's the number that they care about, that they value, right? Even if you look at, and it depends. Like even for us, when we are raising investment, when we are talking to a corporate investor, they will never invest in a company that's burning money. Because at the end of the day, if they acquire the company or if they bring us into their bottom line, we will make their bottom line become worse, right? So they care about the sales numbers. But if I'm looking at a VC firm, they want to know that they take our sales numbers as a proof point that, yeah, people are using our service, our sales numbers. But what they really care about is the numbers that our technology is bringing in. So how many users is using our product, and what are these users are. And if those numbers are really high, and those numbers can be scaled, regionally, worldwide, that's what a VC cares about. Sales just becomes the sales is important. It is a proof point of your traction. But depending on the investor, the acquirer, or your partner, like another point I want to share is we wanted to partner up with the Land Transport Authority of Malaysia. And the way that we did that was telling them that, just to share some context, we do on the road advertising in Malaysia. Like if you see cars or whatever else with ads wrapped on it, that's good chance we are there as well. So when we partnered up with the Land Transport Authority, we told them we have 40 billion data points of technology, like GPS data points of how people are driving on the roads. And let's partner up and learn from that data. So I just wanted to highlight that, when you're talking to an investor, know what value that you are bringing to them.
Yeah, that is very correctly said. And when we talk about money, I just want to highlight that data is actually the future currency.
Yeah.
The technology is heading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very, very interesting way of pitching and sharing, coming up with the USPs when you are pitching with an investor. Thank you, Dhanish. And yes, as an angel investor, tell us what you look for. I think you're halfway there. So as an angel investor, tell us what you look for when you finance a startup.
I look for a few things. Like Inaz said, the first thing I look at is the person. What is his legacy? What is his personal brand? And why he is doing what he is pitching or what he is making? Why he is doing the business? Is he just trying to make a quick buck and run away? Or is he trying to, fool investors and saying that there's some great opportunity and something like that? Or is he believing in a real cause, for example, and then and does it have the potential to grow even beyond Maldives? Because this is one thing very important now. People have to think actually beyond our borders. Actually, it can be founded now. Even Inaz, for example, Inaz concept future that can turn into a chain restaurant or even a franchise business where you might find Kalodi in London, in Paris, in Milan, and New York, many cities possible, because we have even Indian restaurants, Sri Lankan restaurant, Thai restaurant chains, for example, opening in different parts of the world, isn't it? Even in Maldives, we have some of the Indian chains have opened their restaurants also here. So this is possible. So when you there has to be scalability. I call it, there has to be scalability. If the business cannot be scaled, then the investor will, for example, if it is a restaurant, one limiting factor for a restaurant is the number of seating. This is why, for example, McDonald's have to go for franchise model, because they kept on opening restaurants on their own. But then what happened was every restaurant is limited to maybe 20 or 50 seats, right? So the maximum turnover you can generate from that business is limited. So this is also something the investors will look at, whether you have the potential for scalability. Then the other thing is like your personal brand really matters. How trustworthy you are, and are you going to keep your word? Because in business, the word is a binding contract. It's not what is written on the paper actually breaks the trust. What you speak and what you promised and what you delivered is what actually makes or builds trust, not what is written on the paper. Maybe your contract or agreement might be something, but actually this is what builds and how willing you are and how committed you are to do it. I have actually the other way also there. I have been pitching my idea actually to get a technical person. This is actually building, I would say even, it's about building a real estate app. Now, for 3 years, I have been pitching this idea for different technical guys. Actually, I'm ready to invest, even, but it doesn't take much to even start with. But I need a very qualified technical person, a person who can actually code and become a concentrate. I have almost developed the entire business concept, but I don't know, for some reason I'm finding it difficult to convince somebody to to join. So this is the kind of I think I also might have to elevate my pitch a little bit to convince them why they have to work in a startup like that. So these are the kind of things. And also the other thing is your personal spending habits is also very important. If you are a lavish spender, if you are concentrating on instant gratification, that is a bad sign for any investor. For example, you spend very lavishly, you live beyond your means, for example, as a startup founder, then it is a very bad sign for any, especially angel investors might know you personally, isn't it? So they might say, okay, we give him this money and he might spend a little bit in the business, but then he might spend with friends, enjoying more than what he is actually going to use this in business. So this is also very important, we control ourselves and go through hardships together actually to go to the next stage of the business. That's also very important. So most important thing is, like, most of the times the investors, they are investing in you, not in your ideas or your process. Also, most of the time your idea is actually a way to connect with you and them. But that if they really believe in you and they want to invest in you, your commitment, then they might even in the future, you have some other idea and this idea flops, they might still invest in that idea as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Iyaz. So finally, we have come to an end of our session, but we have one last question that I would like to ask from our panelists. What mistakes have you made thus far in this business, and what have you learned? I start with Inaz. And I request we short it out like in 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. I think that question we can more focus on Dhanish and Iyaz, because I have taken quite enough time to talk about the mistake which I have done. The biggest which I will still highlight is that in actually doing a proper calculation of the numbers, like a proper journey and the timeline and cash flow management. I think cash flow, obviously, no matter how good we are in managing cash flow or planning cash flow, the reality can be